CES has brought us several new devices already, and the Garmin Venu 2 Plus is one of those devices. ZDNet's Matt Miller has had his hand on the watch for a little bit now, testing it out. Matt, tell us about it.
Yep. So this is the Venu 2 Plus, and here it is here. Looks a lot like a Venu 2. And one of the key things, right? So the Venu before was one of the first watches from Garmin. Everybody's always saying like, we want an Apple Watch competitor, an Apple Watch competitor. So I think it was the Venu 2. I don't know if it was the Venu, but one of those that came out with a brilliant AMOLED color display. And this continues that tradition of, okay, Garmin wearables fans, here's the beautiful display. And it's a beautiful AMOLED touchscreen, brilliant colors, dark blacks, all of that kind of thing. It has GPS, more than 25 sports apps. One thing about the Venu versus something like a Forerunner or a Fix is these are very, very focused on people that like to do other workouts, right? HIIT or things like Pilates and all that kind of stuff. It has more than 75 animated workouts. So you choose a workout. If you don't really know what it is, it'll actually show you on this small display the person working out or doing whatever it needs to be done. So it's very, very focused on not necessarily like this run that has to have every little piece of data, but more of the overall athlete that also likes to do indoor workouts and things like that. It does have music support, up to 650 songs can be downloaded directly on the device and then played to your headphones. Has Garmin Pay support. It has the Connect IQ apps, so that app store that's part of Garmin is supported here. This only comes in one variant. This is a 43 millimeter watch case with stainless steel, and unlike the other Venu, it's actually steel on the back. It has the 20 millimeter bands, the quick release. You can go on Amazon and buy a million different 20 millimeter bands and swap it out. It comes in black, gold, and silver. This is obviously the battery life is currently advertised as 9 days in watch mode, and then about 8 hours with both GPS tracking you and music playing. And even slow me cover 2 marathons, so it's plenty of battery life for workouts. One nice feature on this Venu 2 Plus is it now supports fast charging. So, sometimes when you're ready to go on a run, you pick up your watch, like, oh man, there's only like 10% left. How am I going to get my run done? So you can put this on the charger, and in 10 minutes, you'll get an hour of GPS time or 1 day of battery life. So in 10 minutes, while you're putting your shoes on and lacing up and stretching, you can get it charged up enough for an hour run. And that's great. It is a bit pricey, right? The Venus aren't cheap. This is a $449.99, so $450 watch. But my big dilemma, I have so many different watches that I test and try, and I own a couple of them. And I always kind of default to something like the Vertex 2 or the Garmin Forerunner 945, the high end, yay, hoorah kind of ones. But then I test a Venu. I'm like, oh, I love that brilliant display. And I do like doing more than just running. I like some of the other things. I mean, this one even supports golf if you want to go golfing with it too. So I test a Venu 2, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should go with a more simpler Venu 2. So it's a great option and great watch. One thing, is it's a little bit different than the Venu 2. You can't see it, but there is 3 buttons on the right side, and there's some kind of an opening on this side. So some of the key differences that we see from the Venu 2 that was announced in 2020 to this one is you can now take phone calls from your wrist. So that opening on this side is a speaker, right? So you can actually make and accept and take and have phone calls, kind of like an Apple Watch that doesn't have the LTE in it, right? So as long as it's connected to your phone, you sit there and have your conversation right on your watch. The other thing that's kind of a big deal for this is that center button by default, a press and hold of it will actually launch selected voice assistant, whether it's Google Assistant, Bixby. You can use your voice assistant to ask all the questions you want to ask, right? But also to send text messages, to control your smart home devices and other things like that. So this is kind of starting to blur the lines where people used to ask for the Venu with focus on the display to be like an Apple Watch. Garmin's now stepped up and added the audio and the voice assistant. So now it's really close to an Apple Watch with LTE. And that's a great thing. That was always something that like, I really like the Garmin, but there's some smartwatch things that I don't want to give up with my Apple Watch, right? And this brings some of that to this watch. And now my crystal ball, maybe the Venu 3 might have the LTE we see in the Garmin Forerunner 945 LTE, which is really focused on safety features, but it lets you leave your phone behind. And maybe the Venu 3 or the Venu 3 Plus might even have some of the voice assistant stuff with that LTE. I don't know. Well, remains to be seen, but this is a nice change with some of those features from the previous Venu.
So that's the difference between the Venu 2 and the Venu 2 Plus. You got the Venu 2 because it's a Garmin and you love the health tracking, but maybe you upgrade to the Plus because you want that true Garmin health tracking, but you also want a little bit more of a smartwatch. You want some added capabilities.
Yeah, that's the tough part. If you have a Venu 2 that you bought in 2020, I don't know, that it wasn't cheap in the first place. The really only upgrades are that phone call and voice assistant. If you don't care about that, the Venu 2 is still a fantastic watch and continue to use it for another few years, right? If you're new, I would definitely choose the Venu 2 Plus. Upgrade, I don't know. If you can sell the Venu 2 for a good price, maybe, but you really got to balance out if you need those other new features. Otherwise, it's very similar to the Venu. And I know that people have really been loving the Venu 2 with the AMOLED display and things like that.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you so much for telling us about this device and for bringing us some of the devices that are coming directly out of CES this year. As always, thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and stick with ZDNet for all things CES.